So we would like to invite Swami Ishatmananda Ji Maharaj.
When I was coming over here, I saw a big jail, the Joliet. And then I was telling to myself, they are in the jail, I am going to discuss about forgiveness. So that is a good question. Who can forgive? One young person who was walking, he was not very strong, suddenly got a push from the back. He turned to fight, but he saw my God, the person who pushed him is so strong and well built. Then that person told, hey, are you going to fight with me? No. Then what you are going to do? Forgive. I am going to forgive you. So can one forgive when he is weak? No. We have to be strong. And then they say, to err is human, but to forgive is divine. To forgive, we have to be divine, and we are divine. Swami Vivekananda, who is our philosopher, he said, never forget the glory of human nature. We are the greatest God that never was and never will be. So that holiness that is within us, and we, each and every one of us are pure. Each and every soul is divine. That is the Vedanta. Dr. Rajani ji was telling, that is the Vedanta. We believe in the divinity. And why this divinity? Because we think and we believe that this world was created by God. And God, out of what He created? Out of Himself, because there was nothing, second entity was not there. And then after creation, He entered into it. In Sanskrit, very nicely they said, Tad srishtva tadeva anupravishat. After creating this universe, the God entered into it. And obviously, each and everything that we see is nothing but the manifestation of God. But we do not understand that. Why? Because of our ego. And because of that, we are separated from God. The original sin that has been discussed in the Christianity, and that in Hinduism we call it ego. And that ego separates us from the God. The moment we remove that ego, we become God. And then what happens? Then only we can forgive others. That power comes, like Jesus, the power comes. We can destroy just with a wish. Jesus could punish them, but He forgave them, because that was the power. And there are two things we must have to understand. One is paramarthika in Sanskrit again, another is jagatika. Jagatika means this worldly, practical things, and in reality. There are two things are there. In reality, and at the same time, this is in practical. The king's son is going to be king someday. But now the small little kid, if he is doing something wrong, the teacher will correct him. Not that, oh, he is going to be king someday, so you won't do anything. No. The practical thing is to correct that child so that he can become a good king. So the reality, he is going to be the king. He is the king. But in practical, I must have to behave. Now one Swamiji, our Swamiji was giving the lecture that we are all divine. Then one hand raised and then told, in that case, if a thief is coming to my room, how I am going to worship that God? Then the Swami replied, by calling 911. By that way only you have to worship. So that is the reality and practicality. The paramarthika and jagatika. As long as there will be conception of many, the conception of good and bad, conception of forgiveness will be there. The question was, who is going to forgive whom? Though as long as there will be the conception of the two, conception of the many, and conception of forgiveness will be there. The forgiveness is considered as one of the most high spiritual practice, and in Sanskrit, this forgiveness is called as Shama. Shama. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, it says that Shama. And again, we find in the 16th chapter, it also said, Teja, Shama, Dhriti, Shaucham, etc., the qualities, divine qualities. Not all can do it. The Shama, the forgiveness, only that divine qualities. And again we find that there's an Upanishad called Jabala Upanishad. And there they are talking about the Yama. Many of you are practicing meditation, Yama, Niyama, you practice. That Yama, there also it says Ahimsa, that means non-violence, Satyam, that is truth, Asteya, non-stealing, Brahmacharyam, self-control, Daya, kindness, Arjabam, simplicity, Shama, forgiveness, then Dhriti, Mitahara, Shaucham, etc. So all these qualities, when a person acquire, receive, manifest, then only that person becomes God. That very moment, we are searching God here and there. We are coming over here for what? This is an asrama. This is a holy place. We are discussing. Why? To find out the root, that this is the forgiveness. And then, what is the definition of forgiveness? According to Shankaracharya, it says, blamed or insulted, mind remains without reaction, and that is forgiveness. Blamed or insulted, when the mind remains without reaction, it's called forgiveness. Akrusta taditasya ba antar abhikriyānupattihi. That is what the Shankara said. And who can really show forgiveness? One who has conquered the anger, jita krodha. When anger comes, when our desires are not fulfilled. The anger comes when our desires are not fulfilled. How the desire rises? When the mind is mixing with some association with some of the objects. So the steps are disassociate mind from the external objects. Now I am concluding. Disassociate mind from the external objects, that's called kama. Even then, if the anger is rising, must have to control akrodha. After practicing regularly, when it becomes normal, then the persons become jita krodha, the conqueror of the anger. And the jita krodha only can show forgiveness, shama. One who has conquered his anger is a very powerful person. And sometimes we don't show our anger in the modern society. Even when you are angry, it's okay, it's fine, go ahead. But inside we are burning. So that is already there. Inside we are there, very angry, but apparently very courteous, very gentle, because society has taught us that's good. But at the same time, we have to learn to totally be free from the anger, the krodha. From the jita krodha, now we find the reactions of the jita krodha. The one who has already conquered the anger, how he will behave? He becomes the controller of the senses. The controlled senses, he turned his senses towards God. How can he control our senses? By turning it towards God. And he concentrated his mind, and slowly he becomes a person who is spiritually powerful, all-knowing, and he only can forgive. One day we must have to be that. That should be our resolution. That should be our promise today, because we are sitting here discussing about the forgiveness, and then we are expecting whatever we will go on doing, only all people should forgive me. No, that won't do. So we have to become that powerful, that pure, so that we can say, well, I forgive you. Thank you very much.